one of the best animated TV shows of all time. Probably the best, let's be honest. But Arcane just dropped the trailer for season 2. Let's have a look, nerd out about some animation details and see what we can learn. Well, this bit was very cool. Immediately when I saw this shot, I was like, I have to look at how they've done that. And what surprised me about this is they actually, you think, oh, it's going in an arc, it's traveling in an arc. I think they actually do that with a lens distortion effect. So you can kind of see the arc that the back of the back of the bomb is traveling in. And it's a pretty nice arc and kind of blends into quite a straight line, which is what we would see if we didn't have that distortion. So it would just kind of be a lot more linear because you would have that camera kind of moving over with the straight line, what I'm assuming would be a straight line of the bullet. So I thought they'd actually animated that in an arc, which I thought was pretty cool. I think what they've actually done is added on this really cool distortion. So if you look at this building here, that's actually distorting, which actually creates that arc in screen space, which is really clever. And there's a ton of times that they do this in this trailer, which I thought was really cool, with the whole lens distortion, where almost like radiation effect when something is really hot, so the air is kind of like wobbling. This one is really cool because, well, we just have some really amazing effects. But I also wanted to have a look at how the effects happen. So it's all happening on ones right now. I think, to be honest, there's different parts of the effects which are happening on different frame rates. So you can kind of see with these lines, they kind of stay the same. You have like these secondary lines on those lines, and they move a little with the camera, but they mostly stay the same, while this area of effects is all kind of moving on ones. And then as we get into the settle of the effect, we actually go back down to twos. So it's just for that very fast moment, they use a few ones animating on every frame, and then we kind of settle into animating on twos with that effect. Now, the effects really are just kind of mind-blowing with this show. They're so amazing. And I wanted to look at this one because it's a similar kind of formula. So we're on ones here, kind of following the fast motion of this. If this was on twos, it just wouldn't match this like insertion point of the effects. So we kind of stay on ones for as long as we need just to match this. And when we get into a bit more of a settle on this, so that we're just kind of reading a still object there in the hand. And by the way, just look at this nice wrist counter rotation. It's not just getting locked in translate and then doing rotation. As this kind of edge rotates round, this edge starts to come this way. So it's just countering everything and making it all feel really nice and heavy. But as we settle into that, these effects, they go onto twos, which is really cool and gives you this really nice hand-drawn effect. And then just to look at some more effects. This one, you know, you think there's a rule and then you look at another shot and then the rules change a little. So it's kind of on twos, and then part of it moves with the character here just to, I guess, maintain the connection, which is really cool. Got the background effects staying on twos while the background itself moves on ones, obviously, with the camera. And this kind of front section of smoke is just moving with the character. And then as we move through, actually that background just stays completely on twos the whole part, and just the foreground is moving with the character, which creates a really nice effect. And then what's interesting about this shot is we cut to this, and then there's actually a few fours on here. Actually, it's basically all on fours. That smoke is just expanding once every 4 frames, which is a nice thing to do when you're creating that kind of stepped key animation. When you are creating this kind of stepped feel throughout the whole film, what can be nice is to hold things on 4s instead of 2s when things are just moving really slowly. And it's very rare that you would get a still camera in these Arcane shots, I'm learning. But because everything is moving so still, they can take their time and just really be economical with that effects. And really, 4s is more than enough. I thought this kick was pretty interesting. Kind of feel like I learned a little something here. So it's a nice antic up. And then I kind of expect like a pure straight leg here, just to like kick him off a screen. But it's kind of nice that you actually get a little resistance there. So It doesn't move in the way that I kind of expected, but I think what it does is by kind of having this spacing be quite similar between this and this key, and then snapping into more of a straight at the end, it creates a little bit of resistance, which adds some weight to this character here, which is really nice. This shot just feels so natural and so weighty and nice. You've got a few nice things happening here, so kind of like half blink happening before the eyes really pop open to sell that really passionate expression. And then you've got things leading all over the place, which is just really cool. So this shoulder kind of comes through to then lead this motion back over here. You get this nice separation where as this shoulder is doing its spacing that way, the head starts to go over this way. I mean, they feel connected, but in a really nice, organic and fluid way that feels really weighty and nice. Throwing that sword up, throwing the shoulder up is just like launching the head over there because it's had so much force. It's an equal and opposite reaction. So as that shoulder goes over there, you get the head flung over there, which just really sells that weight. It's so nice. I thought this was just a cool little moment to point out. So you get obviously these nice effects that we were looking at earlier, where things are on twos and things are also offset as well on twos. But then what you get at the end is as they settle away, the effects, you just get a little ripple in the camera as if you're just feeling that wave of radiation just go past the camera. It's really cool. I've certainly never done it in a shot. Maybe instead of just opting for a camera shake, as I personally would a lot when I'm animating a shot, maybe doing this ripple effect just to feel like the energy of something, if it's an explosion, for example, just go past, could be pretty cool. I can't believe the amount of detail that this show has. It's just so stunning and nice. So as this hand comes down, there's just a whole host of things to look at. So you have obviously a nice overlap in the fingers here. This one is kind of bent way back. This one is clearly leading that action. And then we're also like stretching way over with that finger. And then as we land, you get all these really nice, you can kind of see if you kind of track this line here, see how it's kind of wobbling, and you just really feel the weight 100% on these fingertips. You feel like that is just anchored. These cool little sparks coming out. It's just, the attention to detail is just crazy. It just makes everything feel so alive. Even got effects like happening in the background still. Crazy amount of work for, a hand shot. Something that typically would not take a ton of time, but you can tell that someone has really spent a ton of work. There's a great amount of jitters in there. The spacing is all kind of happening at a different time. This one's pretty locked in place, and then we start to kind of come back. Whereas this one is kind of still sliding in just a few frames later. And, there's a bit of movement up and down as well, where it's just taking a second to like grip on. It's really nice, the break up in the fingers here. I don't know where to start with that shot. It's just, so you've got a moving camera, as you do in most shots in this trailer, maybe all of them. But then you also have details like grabs the gun, and as that happens, the bullets start firing. And I feel like because that's happening, the gun feels like it's more out of control. So you can kind of see how, if we look at this rotation of the gun, just feels like she kind of is struggling. And then as the bullets get closer to the camera starts shaking more and more, and also goes more out of focus. And then you get this, wow, it's just amazing. I mean, look at this for a composition. They're just completely blurred. Got this beautiful circle framing them nicely. This has all been done by someone, art directed on every frame. It's just beautiful. And you read just like exactly what happens. So comes past, and then you read, this clear pose here, this clear pose. As soon as that effect finishes, you get a burst of effects out of here in the yellow, just against the purple and the blue, which is obviously makes it stand out a ton. So you instantly kind of read that there's been a collision there before then getting that little hold at the ends to make sure that you read that, okay, she's grabbed it before she's been able to shoot her in the face. Really beautifully shot. This was another one where I watched the trailer, I thought, wow, what a beautiful shot. It's that same thing, moving cameras, beautiful effects. This one is on 1s, but it has the effect of feeling like it's on 2s, because if you watch this line here, you see how it kind of feels like it sticks through here. So if you look at the spacing, we kind of come down and then we kind of hold, and then we come down here and stick, and it feels like it's happening on 2s, but with a noise on that line. So the spacing is kind of sticking every other frame, which creates the effect or the feeling of being on 2s while still following this board, which is just really cool. Amazing attention to detail. I mean, you think that they're doing things on 2s just to be economical with the effects animation, but then you look at things like this and you're like, it's definitely an artistic choice to make things feel more hand-drawn and more handmade. Because they could have just animated it on 1s and made the spacing like perfect and clean, but actually complements the animation more because it feels more like the kind of 2D handmade feel that they're going for. When we look at his weight on the board here, the body weight is clearly over here, which then kind of initiates that turn of the board. And then as we start the turn, the body weight comes back over the board. As we get over here, we're just countering, and then we just sit back into this pose where we're kind of balanced, and then the board moves underneath him as he stays balanced. It's really nice that they kind of just hold his headspace here. It's really easy to follow while the board is moving at kind of a different sort of spacing. If everything in the scene is moving, if everything is moving around him, the one thing you focus on here is what doesn't move. So the one thing in the whole shot that doesn't move that much is this here. You are instantly kind of drawn right into this point here, and then we cut and we are bang on right in the center of his face, able to connect with this, and it's just an instant read. You're being directed to look right here. You cut, we know we're looking at his face. Amazing stuff. Well, this was just cool to look at. Who do they think they are, Spider-Verse? You know, hand-drawn effects just to make it feel like there's an energy like rushing past him at this point. And then you get this amazing little frame where it's just this skeleton inside. That is just people having fun making this, really. This punch is really cool. So I think what they do here with this animation, and I'm assuming it's not a mistake. It's not a mistake, let's be honest. An interesting thing that they do here is you get a lot of spacing, and done a few drawings already, but just tracking the spacing. Get a lot of space in between these frames, and you would expect this to just kind of go to its final position up here on the next frame, but it doesn't. It holds, and it actually goes back a little, and you get this feeling of the arm kind of holding in place and having a little resistance. So when you do that, and they do this in anime a lot, so when they're punching, you'll do an amount of spacing, have a hold for a couple of frames, and then come through and just finish that punch to really sell the impact. So you feel the nice arc from the arm coming round, and then the back and the torso basically in our final position. If you look at like the rotation of this back right here, we get mostly in our final position. You know, there's a little easing to do, and then it feels like the arm sticks in this position, which is cool, and then resolves after, which I think gives more impact to the punch rather than just like leading with the punch. It's like just really throwing all of your body weight over to that, getting all of your body weight into its final position. So then the hand, all it can do is just follow through and just punch, really punch, which just feels super weighty, super nice. And then I included this one because I thought it was a really cool transition. You know, you just get this kind of ease out from this kind of position as the head kind of comes past, and then we kind of, the head is up here now, and then we're just like a shape in the screen, and then you get this big wipe again of the screen. So it's just wiping the camera. It's doing a really nice thing, and then you just get this amazing, I just feel this, there's always these moments of little explosions through any effects that are done, and it just all feels very like it's got a lot of power in all of the effects. Okay, that's about it for the analysis. Hopefully you guys enjoyed that. I know I learned a ton just from framing through the whole trailer. Sorry if I got anything about the characters or the lore, or if there was anything that I obviously missed about that. It's been a while since I've played League of Legends, I must admit, but I do like Arcane. I do love animation, and if you want more stuff like this, subscribe to the channel. Drop me a comment down below as well with any suggestions of things you think I should look at that you love in animation. Maybe you learned a ton from frame by framing or analyzing, or maybe you just really don't care about doing animation at all. You just want to see someone be nerdy and enjoy some nice animated filmmaking, picking up a thing or two about why things work, why things are so beautiful, so well done. But until next time, thanks a lot for watching, and see you in the next one.